By
Spawning
into the top left. Currently, I don't even know what the map score is. He's up 2-1?
2-1, yes.
2-1. APOC currently up 2-1 from Team IV Drip Gaming.
Yes, indeed. Named after, in fact, the entire team was started due to, trying to support someone who actually ended up with cancer, if I recall correctly. So that's why it's called IV Drip.
It was.
Yep, it was created in support. A very solid organization. I've had a lot of interaction with their management. They're very responsible. I mean, we are talking about the same team that basically kicked their own player out of the qualifier for this event because of win trading, if I recall correctly, right? It was Gamja.
Yeah, indeed. I remember that conversation very well.
It's a good level of responsibility. You know, it's hard to argue with that. IVD has been legit this entire time. They're not a huge team, certainly, and they haven't had incredible results, but they're getting better. Like, I mean, you're seeing Puck going further and further in tournaments, and apparently Apocalypse is really starting to get things going too, so that's it's pretty cool for IVD. You know, if any team was going to start to progress that way, I would hope it would be them. Now,
yeah, for sure.
We've got Apocalypse going for the gas first play here, and we will see Polt with the wall off. It's a bit of a weird wall off. Obviously, you've got debris on the ramp here, so I believe you can wall off with just 2 buildings.
I mean, it looks pretty well off to me, right?
Yeah, it seems to be, but, you know, I mean, StarCraft is always a little bit deceptive in that respect. Maybe there's room for a Marine there, but I don't think so. So, yeah, it looks pretty solid.
I played Brood War for 10 years. Did you ever play Brood War?
Only the single player.
I'm still not sure. The wall-offs in that game were really wonky. They worked really hard in StarCraft 2 to make it so that, like, if you're walled off on the grid, like, you're always good to go. But in StarCraft 2, like, depending on how the buildings were positioned, sometimes you could, like, walk right through, like, 2 pylons next to each other if they were, like, diagonal. Sometimes you could walk through, like, you could only wall off with depots, like, in one direction. People would bitch endlessly over the map pool, like, on IC Cup, because the ramps had to be so carefully designed because of how the buildings were in StarCraft 2, where Terran could wall off, like, 2 entrances really easily, and the 2 other entrances would be impossible to wall off because of the way depots work that game. They were also 2x3 instead of 2x2 on the grid, so that was annoying to deal with, but yeah, anyway.
Well, I'm kind of glad that I didn't play it multiplayer now, because that sounds horrible.
Oh, there were so many fun control. Half the micro tricks in that game came from how horrible the game controlled. If you've never had the pleasure of seeing Dragoons get stuck somehow on top of each other, coming down a ramp, jeez. But it added to the charm.
Yeah, certainly problematic. Okay, let's see what Apocalypse comes up with here.
Polt here, APOC just with 1 Marine? I'm pretty sure 1 Reaper kills 1 Marine.
It does.
But not 2
But it's got 2, and decent control here from Apocalypse, so... The problem is, of course, once the Reaper kind of comes back after regenning, there is like an opportunity to pick off a Marine or 2 before the 3rd Marine comes out. He's actually just... Apocalypse is going to build a Hellion straight up here, so we might see, again, Apocalypse attempting that unfortunate 1 Widowmine, 1 Hellion, 4 Marine drop. It could happen. But it also depends on what Polt's coming up with. Polt's expanding a lot earlier this time around in the pocket there.
I'm going to say, whatever APOC does here, he's going to need to do a lot of damage with it. Yes. Polt is going for a really early expand there.
Yep. Polt takes a bit of damage on his Reapers. The single Hellion is going to try and chase them down. It's not going to get anything done, unfortunately. They're going to regen by the time that goes in. He doesn't want to commit too much either, because properly microed Reapers can kill a Hellion. So, the medevac is coming in, a 2nd Hellion, so assuming this Hellion doesn't die, which it actually is almost going to, it looks like 4 Marine, 2 Hellion drop. But it could also be just an elevator play, so we'll see what he decides to come up with. I like the drop simply because this pocket expansion is very vulnerable to it here.
When you say pocket expansion, you're talking about the natural of Polt?
Yeah. Basically, it's, you know, the one that's at the back there, which is usually very, very safe to anything except drop and airplay. So, especially considering how close it is, I think this is a good choice here by Apocalypse. And
oh, man. Wait, did Polt, like, just moved his Reaper, I think, in a way to catch drops? I think he's doing a scout. But I don't think he didn't see it. Yeah. He didn't see the medevac coming in, so we'll see how much damage APOC's able to do here. I don't know if I like dropping here.
Well, there's no SCVs there yet, so you don't really get too much out of it. I'm not 100% convinced, but the thing is you do get the high ground, which is really nice. So if you can just kind of try and fight up that ramp, which is beneficial, and you can easily kind of retreat to that position. So it's looking pretty good so far, but I think this drop will get cleaned up without too much damage being done. Not a massive commitment as long as he doesn't lose the medevac. He even gets out with half of the units, so... And he's going to pick off one more SCV here as well, by the looks of it. So, I'd say that's worth for Apocalypse, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, 6 SCVs killed. I'm not sure if it's worth it, though, when you consider the fact that Polt has a second orbital set up so soon.
Yeah, you might be
APOC
right,
is about to go and start his right now, you know?
Yeah, you very well might be right there. So... He was perhaps expecting a little bit more damage, but I think you were also correct by saying it doesn't make any sense to kind of drop on the high ground there when there's not going to be that many SCVs.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just boost like right into the main and try to kill as much as he could right there.
It's really awkward to drop into the main on this map simply because there's not a lot of room around the side. So that was probably his thought process there. And of course, if he just kept flying, then that gave Polt the ability to maybe intercept the drop before it actually went down. So it was probably his best option, but...
APOC might be in big trouble here.
He hasn't walled off, has he? Oh, this is not going to be good at all.
I don't think he's got enough. I don't think he has any. He's got one tank that's going to be out in a little bit, but Polt
he's bringing his units back. Yep. He's got a second tank, actually, in that, because he was going for a drop. So, but they're all clustered up. This is going to do some damage. Not as much as perhaps you might think, but a decent amount. Apocalypse is able to ward that off there. It's currently... 9 workers killed by Apocalypse and 6 workers killed by Polt. Actually make that 10, because there is also another drop. Apocalypse did hit it, and he lost his medevac in the process.
But doing decent damage. So whatever he did there, I missed that too. I wasn't seeing that because he was saying the main. Whatever he did there, that was good damage. 16 workers killed now for
really
APOC. Even though his expansion is late. Yeah, for sure. 21 to 23 harvesters. That was good.
Needs to get that SCV over there to finish building the command center, though. The longer he doesn't have that orbital, the worse it's going to be for him. And he's looking to push out and try and counterattack. Currently, the army supply is heavily in favor of Apocalypse here, and I think he could certainly set up a contain. In fact, I mean, I'm just looking at the positioning here. Surely you could siege up tanks right here, and they'd be in range of that natural, right?
Oh, shoot. I got to put on your vision. I don't know how to do it. Which one is your vision?
Shoutcraft.
What are you looking at right now? I don't think I can choose you, can I?
It's okay. It doesn't matter because he's actually decided he's just going to drop right into the natural, and he's going to use the other tank. Is he going to elevate everything over? Oh, this is neat. No, he's going to go there anyway. Okay, it was going to be neat, but he decided not to do it. Oh, the Banshee, though. He doesn't have an answer to that. The Banshee's going to get... No, it's not going to get the Marines. The healing. The Banshee does go down, but that has been shut down. 7 more workers killed, though.
I think APOC was in a position there to do some really crazy stuff. If he would have dropped the tanks like more up instead of like right in the line of fire, I think he could have actually held that spot. I'm a little bit surprised to see him go so aggressive there, but...
Yeah, I think what I was looking at as he was picking it up is I thought he was going to drop right down here on the low ground, just kind of in the corner, and that would be an awkward position, I feel, with 1 tank on the high ground, 1 on the low, and maybe the Marines to defend. But you're right, he dropped himself right into a fairly vulnerable position, and he did damage, but he spent a lot to make that damage work. Resources lost is certainly in favor of Polt at the moment, and since he's had 2 CCs earlier, I'd say Polt is still in a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of surprised. if you look at like the supplies and the worker count, how far we're into this game, 11 minutes, 20 seconds, both players at 31 workers, you know, 56 supply. This is the super, super low supply game. I mean...
We're looking at... Sorry, you broke up a little bit there. We're looking at 23 workers killed versus 6, and yet Polt still has the same number of workers. So it's a very, very valuable early orbital there, and he spent a lot just producing as many SCVs as possible, maybe skimped on his army just a little bit. Nice positioning of the Marine there by Polt. He's going to catch that drop without too much of a problem, and drop defense is very important here. Apocalypse did go in with a Banshee, but there is a well-placed missile turret, and as I mentioned, this map really sucks for air, so it's going to be very hard to actually get in from that position and do anything with that Banshee. Yeah,
for sure, especially because he'll be so vulnerable to being intercepted by a Viking or Marines or anything.
Well, he's found the one way in, though, and that's a lot of Marines, but they're very low health, so a lot of them are going to die pretty fast. A little bit of slight stutter-step micro mistake there by Apocalypse, but he's able to get some damage done with this. There is scan energy, but Polt only has 1 Viking, so he doesn't want to do the scan yet, unless he has the Marines available, which, you know, he's kind of getting kited here.
Oh,
gets it a missile turret range.
That's a big mistake by APOC. He can actually scan now and kill it. Yeah, even if the Marines wouldn't have shot it. Walking into that turret, that turret looked like it shot really far.
Yeah, it did.
I was surprised that it was getting hit up there. Maybe just the angle.
Yeah, I think it was just the perspective there. So some damage done. Another Banshee comes in here from Apocalypse and gets a couple more SCV kills. Apocalypse is so desperately trying to hold back Polt's economy, but he's investing an awful lot to do it. He's not going to get that tank either by the looks of it, because that is going to get repaired. A little bit of wasted mining time, but...
I do like APOC keeping Polt busy though, because APOC has actually got a third done.
I like it.
3 orbitals going now. If you take a look at the army supply, I think APOC is about to start running away with this game.
He should.
I don't think Polt is in a position to like go and kill him, and he kind of needs to do that like right now. Like,
Polt has a gigantic tank advantage though. I mean that's the one thing. I think if Polt were to roll out
1 to 6, yeah, for true.
Then if he gets a good contain, that third probably dies, or at least is forced to lift. So I think maybe that works. And Polt, does he know about the third? He doesn't yet, but he's got to expect it. I mean, all he's seen are Banshees. Like, why do you keep just sending Banshees? Well, maybe you're building a third base behind that. So he's now going to roll out with, again, a significant tank advantage. It's 1 tank to 6. And it's probably going to be about 2 by the time that he arrives, but that's a difficult contain to break.
Yeah, definitely. He does. APOC needs to get these tanks like sieged so that he can at least do a little bit of damage before... He can't just let Polt's army roll in here and just siege up. And it kind of looks like Polt is about to do exactly that. Oh, man, all the Hellions going right in. Blue Flame is not quite done yet. I feel like he should have waited a little bit longer.
Yeah, but he gets a good amount of tanks. He needs to get a bit closer here. He doesn't want to take too much more tanks. He's got in. He is right in here. Can he kill more tanks? It looks like he can. And the tanks are lined up. And the Hellions are murdering the tanks in a display of unusual nonsense. And there's only 1 tank left now. And the Vikings are going to get it.
He did it.
Wow.
Yeah, like you said, he probably should have pulled in a little bit earlier there to get the splash on the back tanks. But, I mean, he was also... Oh, man, that hurt because he was like 15 seconds away from having Blue Flame as well. But, yeah, I mean, he went in and he did the damage. He got it.
And he's going full on mech. As you can see.
Held a third. He held a third with like 7 less tanks. I don't know what Polt does from here. Polt can try and take a third of his own, but he's behind in almost every sense of the word.
I mean, somehow Polt's managed to keep up in SCVs. I don't really know how he's doing that. I assume, he's hacked Chrono Boost or something, because that's pretty crazy. He's just kept on top of his SCV production. But the fact of the matter is, as you said, the biggest advantage was the tank count, and that tank count is now gone. In trade for a lot of Hellions, granted, but on 3 bases with 3 factories, who cares at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know what Polt can possibly do from this position. He's gonna go for another attack. Polt has to kill APOC's third. I say that, but there's honest to God, there's no way that it's gonna happen. Everything favors APOC at this point. He's got the economy, he's got the army, the unit comp. Like, how can Polt possibly? There's no micro in the world that's going to make this attack work. Polt's going to look for some kind of angle to get in, maybe dropping into the natural.
There's so many turrets. He's playing it safe. He's solidifying his position. He's getting a sensor tower. And he manages to get the drop into the base. But once the Blue Flame Hellions come, they're going to clean that up very quickly. Assuming he gets the targeting right. Some damage is definitely getting done by this drop. There's no doubt about that. Will it be enough damage to put Polt back into the game? Probably not. He's going to lose, by the looks of it, everything here. Although that was not a great engagement by Apocalypse.
He's gonna
clean it, but not without losing perhaps more than is necessary there. Let's be honest, Polt had a nice lineup to the point where the Hellions didn't do as much as they should have. So that puts... I don't know, it's still hard. Like, it's 3 base versus 2, full-on mech from Apocalypse. That still seems unbreakable. Now the 3rd base is done for Polt, but... I don't know. It's a hard base to break.
For sure. I think that Polt did okay for that. He did manage to set his 3rd up. Maybe Polt isn't like as dire a situation as it appeared a little bit ago. He still does seem to be pretty behind in every sense. I mean, APOC's got almost now a 20 supply lead.
Yeah, and he's producing off of
plus
3 factories.
3.
Plus, Jesus. Yeah, plus 3. He's building a lot of turrets too. He's like, how can I lose this game? And the answer is the drops. And he's going to make sure that he's proof against that.
Polt with no upgrade. Oh, he's got 1-1 for his infantry, but no upgrades for his mech.
Couple of SCVs
I guess he's going infantry.
Blue Flame drop. Blue Flame run by actually here by Apocalypse. Kills 6 workers. That's a nice little pick off. Looks like he's getting out with the Hellions intact too. Well, he was before he bled off 1, but he's going to get a few more Marines from it. So I mean, that's fine. You want to keep that Marine count nice and low, so I don't see too much of a problem with that. Nice little catch there by Polt. Man, it's still looking bad. It's 12 tanks to 5 now, and it's going to be plus 3 in a couple of minutes. A lot of Blue Flame Hellions, a lot of Hellbats in medevacs ready to drop. This looks, unless Apocalypse just leaves, which is actually what he's doing right now, I don't see a way for this army to break that.
I would almost like to see. Terrans don't build them a lot, but I'd almost like to see like a sensor tower going up in that 4th on the right side, just so that something like this couldn't happen.
Yeah, this is the problem with fighting against Bio with mech. Like, positioning can be a real problem. And if Apocalypse goes in, and he has not sieged up, but will it even matter?
So
with
many
the
Hellbats.
Jesus! Raining from the sky, and Polt's position is getting cracked here. A lot of damage has been taken by Apocalypse because he didn't really siege too many of those tanks. And that's the risk of Bio, of course, but a hot pickup there, saving a couple of tanks and crushing Polt's army.
Yeah, so I mean, I think APOC can walk away from that fight feeling pretty good. Polt just... I feel like, you used to see this fairly often back on Wings of Liberty, where one Terran player would go mech and one Terran player would go bio.
And
yeah. It played out almost like a TVZ, where the guy with the bio would try to be like all over the map harassing and whatnot, and that's kind of how he worked. You would never, usually the bio wouldn't fight like big straight up engagements where the mech is already in position, because you just can't win it with bio. But I mean, APOC's turret defense all up in his natural here is like really, really good.
This is the way Polt used to play. Yeah, when it came to TBT, he was known as Marauder King Prime for a good reason. Like, he would go Marauder heavy, and he'd just go for a lot of stim bio attacks. But I haven't seen a lot of that lately, and I don't know if it's even going to work, especially when you drop Hellbats in the midst of that. Obviously, Hellbats don't kill Marauders that quickly, but if you drop them in the middle of a ball, they're going to do a lot of damage regardless of what happens. And Polt's going to try and transition to BCs, which obviously like is the ultimate anti-mech build. Can he even do it? Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Oh, we might be able to pick off that CC. No,
the Hellbat drops. Just devastating. So much damage inflicted there, and he saves the CC as well, which is brilliant, which puts him in like a 50 supply lead here. In terms of army supply, it's 112 to 69. Polt has started his 3-3, which is good. Apocalypse has got a couple of minutes of having +3 attack, although no +3 armor, so these tanks are quite vulnerable, as are the Hellbats. But it's...
So the awkward thing about APOC is that he has a big advantage, but it doesn't seem like he can move in and close things out. Like, he needs to do some kind of drop play or something.
I think so.
Because right now, because Polt is getting to take a 4th, Polt's getting to catch up in upgrades, you know, he's got his 3-3 going. Polt was very far behind at one point, but it seems like APOC is kind of just letting him kind of weasel his way back into the game.
Yeah, which is a bit
I don't
unfortunate.
even know why he leaves 2 siege tanks up here. That's not enough to defend against anything.
Not really.
Not
put down a second sensor tower. I guess it buys him a little bit of time. It wards away.
Sensor tower is nice.
But yeah, I mean, they will die very, very quickly, especially with no armor upgrade. The thing about the position of Polt right now is that he's had to cut corners, and he's got basically no static defense on his 3rd. 4 Hellbat drop would probably gut that mineral line and really put him behind economically, and that would make the BC transition effectively impossible. You just wouldn't have the minerals for it. But it's just so weird to see a bio into BC transition, because you don't have any of the upgrades to really back that up. But
I wish I wish APOC was more aggressive. I wish he would just load up like a few Hellbats into like a couple extra medevacs and just go harass somewhere or something. Yeah, just to keep Polt from just getting to rebuild all of his eco.
Yeah, he's scared of the Polt style, right?
Yeah, sure. He did that Hellion run by earlier to attack SCVs at the 3rd. I don't know why he would just stop that. Yeah,
especially since you don't even have to pay for transformation anymore. You can just use some of your Hellbats to do that. And here we go, Marauder run by, and the Hellbat drop is the response to that, which is enough to clean that up quite nicely. And yeah, as it turns out, Hellbat's pretty good against Marauder drops, but there you go.
Oh, I mean, I think he actually picked everything up.
He didn't pick up everything. He did take some damage, but yeah, you are right. And then there's going to be he's going to counter Hellbat drop again. Here comes the big push, and I mean, Polt does not have an army to beat this, right?
I mean, Polt's army is trying to kill APOC's 4th, while APOC is just killing Polt.
And he's out repairing the Marauders.
This repair is so close.
Oh, it's gonna crack, surely. It finally does. The Hellbat counter drop comes in to clean that up, but, I mean, there's about 20 tanks in Polt's base, and it's like 12 Vikings versus 2 battlecruisers, which Apocalypse is letting die for no apparent reason. Apocalypse really needs to micro that, but he does have a couple of Thors in high payload mode, so the BC probably won't do the job. And, well, it's a base race, but it's a base race that really Apocalypse should be winning. Dear Lord, what a massacre. Apocalypse still sitting on 16 tanks here.
I don't see how Polt... I mean, he's got like a couple of cute drops, I guess, if he wants to fly around, but I mean...
Uh-oh. There's no Vikings. The last Thor is taking fire here. It was focused fire down, and there's like 1 Thor trying to fight this BC.
How long is it going to take the BC to kill everything?
And this is why you get Thor armor upgrades, folks. That BC wouldn't be doing anything if you'd done that, and now there's no anti-air. So Polt's single BC is slowly trying to clean out the tank count. In the meantime, Polt is battling with his Marauders, which will eventually be driven back. It's still 120 supply to 54, and that's the GG. And Apocalypse with the upset. 3 games to 1.
Takes it away, yeah. Good, yeah. Really good victory for APOC there.
It's great. I mean, you don't generally expect that. Polt's best matchup is not TVT, but his recent record has been ridiculously good. So you don't expect Apocalypse to take that. And more to the point, Apocalypse actually looked pretty good. Like, outside of a few what looked like nervous mistakes, you pointed out earlier that why is he not dropping and things like that. It seems like he was afraid of the Polt kind of Marauder drop, kill my CC sort of style. And he wanted to stay back until he had kind of a crushing force. But outside of that, he made some nice moves in that entire series. A couple of slip-ups here and there, but his builds were good. He showed us both Bio and Mech. He showed some aggressive early drop play that, for the most part, worked out. Some great Banshee counter-harass. It was cool.
Yeah, and that sets us up. That sets us up with an APOC, the TVT semifinal for tomorrow too, for APOC versus Innovation. Wow.
Whoa. Well, I don't know if Apocalypse can take out Innovation, but it will be a good fight regardless. He played very well against Polt, and he's obviously looking pretty good. Innovation's going to have to look at those games and say, you've got some interesting tendencies there with those early drops. Maybe I can do something with that. But Polt just didn't really look in form, and I imagine it does have something to do with the fact that he's got to go and play Red Bull, and that is obviously quite stressful and things like that. But still, Apocalypse with a great win there. Really, really good. That's so far, I think, one of the best wins in his career, so he can be very proud of that.
Yeah, and good wins, too. Every game... In fact, I think you could almost say the one kind of silly game was the only one that he lost. The other 3 games were pretty decent straight-up games. And the Banshee trick, the cloak thing, was so sick in the Overgrowth map. So that was really nice. APOC played really well. APOC played a strong series, and he won it in really convincing fashion. So
yeah. My concern really is that there's a few holes in Apocalypse's play, and that he's obviously making some mistakes in terms of either control or decision-making. And if you do that against Innovation, Innovation will shred you. So he's going to have to tighten things up a bit. It was good enough to beat a, let's just say, not quite informed Polt. I wouldn't say that it's good enough to beat Inno, though. So let's see if he's able to kind of tighten things up tomorrow.
I like... When I was doing the seeding for this tournament, we're seeing if Kane is awake. We probably want to jump into Kane and Adonminus next.
Yes,
it's the set that we're looking to set up. One of the things that I like about the tournament is if you look at my if you look at the brackets look pretty rigged, so that a foreigner makes it to the final. They look incredibly rigged. The reason why that happened though is because of the upsets that happened in the group stages. For instance, like Major coming out ahead of Polt. I don't think anybody would have expected. Well, I shouldn't actually say that because Major had just beaten Polt before. But
yeah,
Major coming out of Polt, yeah, that was a decent upset in that group. And also, Kane in Group 2, Hero, Life, Guitar Cheese, and Kane. Kane came out first in that group.
Hero
beating
that
Life
group, like really badly, which is unexpected. I mean, you know, you look at on paper, you say Life goes through first, Hero second, right? But not in this case.
But yeah, it's Kane coming out first there made it yeah, so Kane and Major both kind of upsetting their groups there.
MC losing in his group is a good point as well. You know, Huck going through over MC.
Oh god. That was me and QXC didn't know anything about PvP, but did you see one of the second game in the Huck vs MC series?
Unfortunately not.
Huck walks to MC's base to do a Blink Stalker all in. MC puts down a Dark Shrine, and Huck what do you call it? When a prophet like sees into the future, he did
clairvoyance.
That. Yeah, the clairvoyance was strong, and he walked back to his base, and I didn't even notice it, but Huck had actually forgotten Warp Gate. So he forgot Warp Gate with a Blink Stalker. He was chronoing out like his Blink on his Stalker, and Warp Gate hadn't started yet. So when he got there, he was like, "Oh well, I can't all in if I don't have Warp Gate." So he walks back to his base and he builds a Robo. So then when MC walks the DT to the base, the Observer is just coming out. Oh man, that was a really sick and close series. The last game was really close too, with Huck all-inning MC on 2 base at the end. He built 2 extra gateways on the top left corner of, I think it was Deadwing or Foxtrot, the one with the weird golds in the middle-ish. So yeah, that was a really sick series too. But
cool. That sounds quite ridiculous. But to be fair, you know, if you don't have a Huck MC game where something ridiculous doesn't happen, then that's very disappointing.
For sure. Oh, okay. Kane is here. So
Yep.
Start dragging people in.
Rip N8. And then, of course, we have Adon Minus is the way to pronounce that, right?
I hope not, because I've been calling him Adonminus for like 2 days.
Well, if you read it, it's Adon Minus, but
Somebody said that his name was based off of some Greek thing before. I have no idea. I'm not actually sure.
All right, I'm Googling this thing. Let's dive into ancient history. There's not a single result. It's all StarCraft, so I could not tell you. I can find his esports earnings account, but I don't know what that's based on Greek-wise. I know he is a Greek player, and he plays for Cascade, if I recall correctly.
Adonminus is actually an Israeli player.
Israeli, oh yes.
Yeah. One of the 2 professional.
Trying to remember who the other Israeli was.
I just said 2 because I'm sure there's at least one other.
There is
right?
one other, actually. I cast him a long time ago, about 2 years ago, but I'm not sure if he's still around.
Wow.
There is actually an Israeli league, if you didn't know, the Israeli Star League.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's not particularly
Adonminus on Cascade. Kane is on... Kane's not on IVD, is he?
No.
No. Hold on.
Who's Kane on these days? He keeps... well, I wouldn't say keeps switching teams, because that would be...
Oh, my Insanity.
Yes, MYA. Yeah, Blight. That was the name of the other Israeli player. I recall correctly, there was an incident regarding that. Because he'd registered for the bracket under a Smurf account. And he was like in the first rounds of, I think, an open bracket for either DreamHack or some other tournament like that. And he came up as Silver League. And we're like, oh, it's one of those where like anyone just registers and it's Pro Gamer versus Silver League and it's just like a stomp or whatever. And I got a bunch of messages from Israeli players like, how do you not know Blight? It's like, there's literally nothing on the internet about this guy. And I had to apologize to Israel. So there you go. Something topical. Alright, it's going to be Adon... How on earth are we going to say this?
I always pronounce it Adonminus.
Adominus? Just kind of ignoring the N there?
No, okay. Adonminus.
You see, that's even harder to say.
It is hard to say, but who puts an N and an M right next to each other?
Adonminus.
Adonminus. Yeah, like that.
Alright, I'm calling him Adon for the rest of it.
Adon?
Yeah.
Alright.
Calling him Adon. Shout out to all my fighting game community fellows. I don't actually have any connections with the fighting game community, but I wanted to do that anyway. So I can call him Adon. Hopefully he has a haircut like Adon. That would be fantastic. One of the most annoying characters in StarCraft. No, sorry, one of the most annoying characters in Street Fighter and one of the most annoying races in StarCraft. So, you know, it's pretty appropriate, I think.